Let's get more on the India-Pakistan conflict with Shilpak Ambule, India's High Commissioner to Singapore. High Commissioner, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
How confident are you about this ceasefire? Can it be sustained or is it a fragile one?
Well, the ball is in Pakistan's court. We've been saying from the very beginning that the day we finished targeting the terrorist infrastructure, we did not want to escalate. It was Pakistan who started targeting our military infrastructure across the border. They targeted our civilian infrastructure, they targeted hospitals, and this was a kind of escalation which we did not want. So we had to retaliate, and again we said, okay, this is where we need to stop, but Pakistan kept on attacking. They started increasing their range of attacks, targeted religious sites, so we had to counterattack. And that is how it started. And even when the ceasefire was announced, it was the Pakistan side which got in touch with our DGMO, and we agreed to ceasefire.
It's been a tit-for-tat conflict, and we know that Pakistan has come out to say that it's not responsible for the initial attack. High Commissioner, I'm wondering, where do we go from here? I know the two sides are meeting to iron out some details. What can be expected? Well,
since you mentioned the word tit-for-tat, I think it's a very simple categorization of what has happened. Let me take you back to April 22nd. 26 innocent civilians, tourists were targeted in a very unprecedented manner. Their religion was asked, and they were shot in front of their family. And this was why? Because Kashmir was being normalized in a way where you had unprecedented tourist flows. We had the parliamentary elections, the assembly elections, unprecedented voter turnout. And for the last 5 years, the entire process of normalization in Kashmir was taking root. So someone was naturally not happy with it. They wanted to disrupt this normalization process, and that is why the terrorist attack happened.
But some people have questioned what's the proof for that. But I just want to bring the conversation forward when it comes to the ceasefire. We know that President Trump has come out to say that the U.S. helped in those negotiations. The U.S. helped in the ceasefire. Talk to us about the role of the U.S. in this ceasefire.
Well, for us, Kashmir is a very bilateral issue. Diplomacy does happen. We do speak to our counterparts. Our foreign minister and foreign secretary do speak to their counterparts. But that is to clarify our position and what is our demand of Pakistan. And we've been, and since you asked about proof, we've been giving proof to the United Nations Security Council Sanctions Committee for I don't know how many years. Even the TRF, which claimed responsibility for the attack, we had given inputs about them to the UNSC Sanctions Committee for the entire last year. And for us, the issue is only about Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. There is no other dispute. And we need to, if Pakistan is willing to discuss the perpetrators of these terrorist attacks, we are willing to talk on that.
We've read reports about how about 30 countries were involved in trying to de-escalate the tensions between Pakistan and India. Can you clarify that? And what are some of the countries, pushing for?
Well, naturally, we also don't want the situation to escalate. We did not want the situation, the way it escalated, to escalate. We just, as you said, tit for tat, we just removed the terrorist infrastructure on the other side of the border, and we did not want to escalate beyond that. And as I said, diplomacy always plays its part. But for us, Kashmir is a bilateral issue. It's not an international issue. And for us, I think the word mediation does not work with Kashmir because it's a bilateral issue to be resolved bilaterally.
How prepared is India to resume the Indus Water Treaty?
Well, we've very clearly said that till the time there is cross-border terrorism, the Indus Water Treaty stays in abeyance.
What does that essentially mean?
Well, if you see the Indus Water Treaty, when it was negotiated itself, it was very in Pakistan's favor. But now, there were a lot of restrictions on us using the resources on our side of the border. Now, those restrictions, therefore, are not in place once we put that treaty in abeyance.
So what will it take for it to be reinstated?
Well, that's a very theoretical question, I think, but we first need to end cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. Once that happens, then we will see how we can look at the Indus Water Treaty.
How long is India willing to suspend the water treaty?
Well, I mean, it's a very...
Because Pakistan has said it was unfairly suspended as a result of...
We've been saying Pakistan is practicing unfairly this cross-border terrorism with us, and we've been kind of keeping restraint for so long. I mean, everybody is just talking very tactically about what is the situation and how to de-escalate. What about the terrorist attack that happened? And what about those 26 innocent lives that have been lost? And the entire tourism sector in Kashmir. And people were happy that tourism had come back to Kashmir because they were earning their livelihood with that. Now that entire process has got derailed.
Is India willing to hold talks with Pakistan in a neutral location?
Well, we've never done that. And I mean, recently, we've been saying that terror and talks don't go together. Until the time cross-border terrorism is being practiced, I don't think we are willing to even talk about the Indus Water Treaty right now.
How much pressure are you getting from the likes of the US to come to some kind of agreement to ensure that ceasefire stays in place?
Well, I think this negotiation will happen bilaterally. Our Director General of Military Operations are going to meet again, are going to talk again today afternoon. They have been in touch, and they had talked before the ceasefire had been announced. So we hope that the talks kind of continue.
Why is India so reluctant to acknowledge the role that the US is playing in negotiations and the ceasefire? We had the likes of Marco Rubio coming out to say that he was involved in the talks that led to the ceasefire.
Well, the ceasefire happened because the Pakistan DGMO got in touch with our DGMO. And then our DGMO finally agreed because we had achieved the target we had set for destroying the terrorist camps.
And how confident are you that talks can resume and that we'll see a resumption of a peaceful border between the two sides?
Well, it's very simple. We've been talking about this for a long time. Till the time Pakistan practices cross-border terrorism, it is very difficult to kind of sit on the table and talk with them. Mm-hmm. We've been telling them very clearly that you please stop cross-border terrorism. We've been telling the international community about it, that put pressure on Pakistan to stop cross-border terrorism. And then we'll see how we can move forward after that.
So what have been the indications in your talks from Pakistan?
Well, we've not had discussions with Pakistan because till the time they don't stop cross-border terrorism, we are not going to sit and talk about the other issues.
What's key for you, High Commissioner, in negotiations?
Well, the only issue left to negotiate is the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the area of Kashmir which is under illegal occupation of Pakistan. So that is the only issue to discuss. And yes, we would like the perpetrators of this terrorist act to be booked and action taken against them.